on Tower, but Crystallize new subscription engine, and how we have, of course, altered a few things in the engine itself to allow modeling of more complex, models, more complex business cases. And we'll actually take a look into a few examples today, Mr. Board, right?
That is true, but
pretty cool concepts.
It is our engine, Stavros.
Yeah.
So that is correct.
That's fine.
We are Crystallize. And I was thinking, let's first start with a little bit theory. This is cool.
Yeah.
Because there are some concepts in terms of subscriptions that might not be super trivial. The first part that we will look into is called the definition part, where we have subscription plan, which can have one or more subscription periods, like monthly, annually, for example. And also, you can have any number of metered variables. And this could be, and we will have a couple of examples, but let's say you're selling software. It could be a number of API calls, for example. So you can charge based on metered variables. And then you have the actual products. So this is the, as you know, product variants in Crystallize, and all of them can now have a subscription. And of course, if the subscription plan has defined metered variables, you get that across all of the products that, for example, are software subscription. So we will look at how you can create plans and how you can manage products. But of course, it doesn't stop there, because once you are creating a subscription contract, so this is an agreement with specific pricing and specific terms, right, with a customer for a future purchase. That is, in essence, what we're doing with subscriptions. You are able to have subscriptions that, let's say Netflix, which you can charge when you sign up, and then you just have a recurring every month. And for example, it could be different product variants, like a small or normal and family, for example. And it's a fixed monthly fee, typically charged up front. We will also dive into a little bit more complex examples where you can have subscription contracts for metered subscriptions. And that is typically something you charge then at the end of the subscription period, because you don't know how much you're going to consume of minutes, for example, if you're doing a phone subscription, or water, if you're a municipality selling water.
In the water business.
Yeah, in the water business. And then, of course, we have the records keeping. So this is a record of the truth, which is the order engine in Crystallize, where you will be able to capture the actual, of course, order, what they paid, but also the details on how much water they consumed, for example, that month. I'm just switching to the admin UI in Crystallize. And one of the things that I'll just mention is that in Crystallize, we are using Crystallize and the metered subscriptions in our subscription engine to charge for the monthly subscription of Crystallize. That's a mouthful. As you know, Crystallize is based off of a monthly fee with usage, depending on the plan you have. The free tier starts at 0, but then you pay for overusage. So these are 4 metered variables. It's a different story, but let's look into a couple of examples. I would say we can, here I have created a couple of subscription plans.
So essentially, like just to clarify for the people watching, the first step is, of course, to define the subscription plans, right? And this is what we're going to be showing now, actually defining the plan. And then we go into the product, and for each product, we're able to select from our created plans to create a subscription for this product, right? So this is like the first step, let's say.
Yeah, and if you use Crystallize as an example, we basically have 3 different products, subscription products, but it's only one plan. So it's a monthly plan with API calls, and then a couple of other bandwidth and orders and items. In this example, we have a simple SaaS service. It's a monthly initial and recurring period. And just to talk about this, so the initial period is typically first month is half price, or maybe first month is more expensive. Maybe you're bundling
or free,
but it could be, remember when the iPad came, a lot of magazine companies bundled an iPad with the magazine on the first month, and that was a more expensive thing, right? So, and then but you can model 3 month or more expensive month, and this is the initial period. That's the first recurring period of this subscription. And then you have the metered variables, and here you basically are able to add any number of dimensions that you want to charge for. I'll just leave it with the API calls, and this is a simple plan that you can see working for a SaaS service. We've done some others, and SaaS service, this is obviously a digital product, right? To pay for Crystallize, for example. But let's say you are a law firm. You would like to charge your clients maybe a monthly retainer. And then depending on if it's a lawyer, I call it consulting, but I'm not sure what the legal services are called, maybe just legal services. And it's typically charged per hour. And then you have a paralegal, which is also charged per hour, but typically at a different price level, right? Because the paralegal is typically less expensive. Something that is starting to become quite popular in cities now is rental of scooters, or typical if it's electric, at least. Yeah. So this is an example of a monthly scooter rental, and it's a small and a super big scooter, and this could be included hours, or it could be based off of the actual usage. So it could be
kilometers, or
maybe kilometers or time, or maybe both. So including, so like if you have a leasing of a car, it's typically included up to X amount of kilometers per year, and then you have to pay per extra kilometer over that. That is also something we can model, no problem. Seat-based, and this is also a quite simple example, quite popular for software where you just pay for the number of users. For example, Slack is using this model. Just pay for the number of users. So I use this subscription plan to actually model something else. I'll get back to that. And then we discussed another example, which is electricity. Because this is also a subscription, a monthly subscription. Typically, you pay the electricity, and you're charged for consumption. So the amount of kilowatt hours that you're using, right? So these are 5 different subscription models. And let's take a look at some products. Surprise, surprise, I created 5 different products. And in this case, it's this is a SaaS service. So when you're creating a, if you're looking at the Variance, basically, oops, where did I click now? You have the SaaS service subscription, which is the product variant. This is the SKU. This is the actual product you're selling. And then you have the subscription pricing, which has a monthly recurring cost, 99 euros. And then we have the tiered pricing based on the metered variables. So
basically, the monthly is the thing that I would pay each month, and then the API calls the essential thing that I would pay at the end of the month, after everything is metered or tracked of what I've used or what I've
Yeah, typically you would charge this end of the month, so you would charge 99 plus whatever usage you had. And then if it's, in this case, it's a tiered pricing, so up to 100 million API calls, it doesn't cost anything for the API calls. But if you have between 100 and 500 million API calls, then you would pay 99 plus, however many API calls you use. And here it's a price where you pay 5 euros per million API calls in this case. And then if you use more than 500 million, then you actually have a lower price. So it's a tiered pricing. And this is a graduated pricing. So it means that if you're having 101 million API calls, you pay 99 plus 5 euros. And if you have 501, you still pay whatever. This is 400 times 5 plus 1 times 3, right? So it's you pay for the intervals, and you actually pay for the different tiers. And it's typically used to model, for example, included minutes, and then the price per minute or usage API calls in this case will go down the more you buy. This is typical for digital services. It's I would say a very normal model. We also have this example here with volume-based pricing. So this is, as we discussed before, Stavros, Norway Clean Power is what we have here. And I just learned that you actually pay more the more you use in Athens or in Greece, right? It's not the case here, but this is an example of how you typically have a monthly fixed fee. So at least in Norway, we're charged, a fixed fee for being connected to the grid, basically. And then you're paying based off of how many kilowatt hours you use. And in this case, we made a model. So 2,000 kilowatt hours is about an average consumption for a household per month in at least here. And then we priced it at 0.1 euro per kilowatt hour. And then since we want, as a company, or you want it to be the consumption to go down, you make it more expensive the more you use here. So this is what we modeled out here. From 2 to 5,000 kilowatt hours, it costs 0.2. And then if you use more than 5,000 kilowatt hours per month, it costs 0.5. So it's quite a lot more expensive. But you see, with the subscription engine here, you can model out quite complex models. And this is a tiered pricing, and you can add any number of tiers that you would like to have, and set any price point that you wish. So I'll just
and of course it's like from the ones that I've tried, at least you can of course go in, and depending on the minute price that you define in the beginning, then you will be prompted here, of course, with more than one of these fields that Mr. Board has now presented, the consumption, right? So consumption is only one of the variables that you can track in each. So
good segue to a legal retainer. So a legal subscription. So here we have, of course, this is not a digital service. This is an actual consulting or legal services that are being sold. And I'm not sure if the prices here make sense at all, but it's at least a 1,000 euro a month retainer for 10 hours. Let's do it like this. Depending on the market here, but at least you have a service where you have included, in this case, 10 hours of lawyer consulting, so a senior or a lawyer, and also 10 hours of paralegal consulting is included. And then if you overuse, then you pay for the lawyer for the first, well, let's modify this. If we do more than 50 hours, would maybe make more sense. And maybe then actually it would be a little bit lower, so that you pay depending on the usage here, in addition to the retainer. And this is, I would say, a classical way for lawyers to charge for their service. And you can have here different metered variables, as you said. So the different variables are then, in this case, paralegal or lawyer. And as you see, the hourly rate for paralegal is less than the lawyer. But if you really use a lot of legal hours, more than 50 a month, the rate also drops a little bit here. So you can really experiment with different price points and different pricing schemes, basically for both digital products, but in this case also physical products. And I did a small example here with 2 different products. So I have a workspace rental. So think about this as a WeWork office rental space, for example, where you could have a starter product and you could have a team product. And the starter here costs €1,000 a month, and it includes 5 seats. So you don't pay anything in the interval between 0 and 5. But then if you have more than 5, you pay €250 per extra seat per month. Didn't really add up in the model here, but that's the cost of this. And then you have another product here, which is called Team. And then you would have a recurring price of, I don't know, €2,000, €20,000, whatever you want to charge. But here it includes 20 seats. So it's a team of 20 that you have reserved. And then for additional seats, you only pay 200. So these are 2 different products that give you access to, of course, different quantities, basically, of seats included in the plan. So, and this is typically also how we could have changed this product to not workspace rental, but, Slack access, so that you pay for the number of users that are registered in the service, and you can experiment with small, medium, large, or starter, personal, enterprise, or whatever you call these types of plans.
And this is the different variants of the product.
Yes, so it's different products, different SKUs. But they're both using the same subscription plan. It's the seat-based subscription plans, a monthly way to charge for number of seats. So this is the example of what is the difference between a plan, which is the definition, and this here is the actual product. So the product in this case is the price book for a specific subscription. Was that clear, Mr. Stavros?
I think it was pretty much very well understood. Sounds about right.
And what we have in addition to this, of course, this is now available in the API. Well, I typed it wrong here. And we have also the ability to manage here. So I'll look at 2 things. I'll first look at the customer, where we have here a customer, Jane Doe. And of course here, this is the customer view in Crystallize, and you're able to both edit and view. And here you can see that I have, not I, but Jane, she's got a subscription for electricity, Norway Clean Power. And it renews 1st of October. This means that it's not yet charged. So I actually don't have any orders in this example here because we have to wait until this subscription is actually renewing. And that is when you typically charge for this. Now, when you renew a subscription in Crystallize or create it, nothing really happens because we're headless, right? We're orchestrating events with external services. And for example, the electricity, we don't know the actual usage of the electricity that Jane Doe has. So in order to manage that, and this is, of course, for the developers, we do have the webhooks where you will be able to subscribe to events triggered by, for example, renewal, cancellation, create update, etc. And this is basically where we would send information to, for example, a service API that will say, okay, now this subscription is up for renewal. Let me fetch the kilowatt hours from the ERP system or whatever service you get the number of kilowatt hours.
Yep, and create invoices and stuff like that.
Create invoices and payment intents and charge the client, right? So, and then once this is all charged, then you place the orders. And this is where you will have the record of truth, basically, for the subscription. If we take a look at just the API side of things, so this is already out there, and we have a couple of, and we will not use this this stream to go through all of the API calls that you can use, but basically you can fetch and create plans. Anything I did in the UI, you can also do via the API. Subscription contract. This is the typical what you would create on purchase or registering if you're doing registered for a future purchase. For example, if you're going here to Crystallize and you go to activate your account, this here is basically the process of creating a customer and then creating a payment intent, and then we create a subscription contract. But we're not charging until the end of the subscription period. In our case, we do that monthly. You can also see, of course, on the items where you have the in addition to everything else that you're used to seeing in Crystallize, you also have the product variants, and on the product variants, see here we have variants, product variant, and then we have the stuff that you're used to, like images or SKU, stock, etc. And then you also have the subscription plans. And so this is new, where you have the periods, you have the tiered pricing, etc. This is all in the products, or they call it the product catalog. And then also the extension is on orders, where you have on the basically on the cart item. You also have information about the subscription contract ID and which subscription you have, etc. So it's the full round trip of being able to define plans, define the pricing, create a contract, and then also record the actual orders in the and with the metered variables in the orders API. Yeah. Yep. That
nice.
Is,
and of course, all of this is essentially it's linked to the customer, the cost project we had released. So yeah, all in one place. Really nice. I think it's super clean to handle. I mean, through the service API, right? So you present the information in your Next.js frontend, the product with the information on the subscription. Someone clicks on, I want to, I don't know, sign up for this guy. So sign up for Netflix. I choose my plan, family or personal or whatever, 3 seats, 5 seats, 10 seats, I don't know. And then this is created in Crystallize. I am created as a customer in Crystallize, and then I'm charged the interval, basically. If I have my initial period or not, then the interval after that. So yeah.
And it's up to you to decide if you want to charge at the end of the month or in the beginning of the month. So it's quite flexible in that way. In terms of follow-up for this, so what we wanted to cover today was mainly the difference of the subscription plan compared to the actual products, how that works, and how you can model out a couple of different things like electricity, legal services, and digital products. And also, I don't think we've done a live stream and talked about the customer API in Crystallize, which is not that long ago. It was before the summer that we launched it, right?
Yeah.
And And here you have the ability to manage customers, and also, with specific billing addresses if you want. And this is the glue where you have the subscriptions. Of course, you get all the orders here. So this is the same data you would use on a typical, call it my page on your web shop. And we've also added here the two things. It's external references and customer metadata. So this is where you will be able to store, external references is typically, let's say you sign up for a payment intent with Stripe, then you can create a customer on Stripe, and the reference to the customer is what you could add here. So Stripe customer ID, and then if you also have a let's say a ERP where you push the orders and create the customers, for bookkeeping, then it could be I don't know, Visma customer ID, which is a Norwegian ERP, and this is the glue to be able to link different services together so that you can really orchestrate what is popularly referred to as composable stacks, right? You use the service that is best suited for that particular thing. And this also means that you can have subscriptions where, and this is also what we do in Crystallize, where we have subscriptions where it's charged with Stripe, but also where you can charge with manual invoices. So you can have different types of payments, perhaps for different regions, or for different size of customers. So some customers will not be able to, for example, pay with a credit card. So they need an invoice. And then you can still manage and orchestrate all of these subscriptions across your full customer base. So this is the thinking behind that.
And of course, I think since you mentioned follow-ups on these guys, the subscription engine and customers, we will see in the future like examples on how to build different kinds of models and how you can use all of these subscription plans and so on and so forth in different environments. So we'll build actual examples and show that to you guys here. Definitely.
And I think we will do a follow-up on the actual API to show how to, call it the service API side of things, where you glue together payment with orders, with clients, etc. And then also we are about to release a new boilerplate, which is designed for subscription-driven businesses. So typical software subscription, for example, small, medium, large type of products with metered charging. So we will have a couple of follow-ups, and also following that, I think we will be doing quite some on different business models, so that we build out and launch an actual, I don't know, workspace rental or energy company. Why not?
Energy. Sounds good. Yeah, really interesting stuff. So guys, make sure to check it out. It will be really helpful, at least for some of you that want to get started with subscriptions, 100%. So essentially the idea is that you can now, if you're using a payment provider that supports subscriptions like Stripe or whoever else, you can use both the engine of the payment provider, or you can use Crystallize's engine to handle, all the events for renewals and things like that. The good part about using Crystallize, of course, is that if you have allowed multiple payment providers, you can have a central place to handle all the events. So a central, let's say, logic as to how you'll create the charges, the invoices and stuff. So it will be, centrally located in one place and handled through the service API, for instance. So we'll go through these in examples in the future. It will be really, really interesting, for sure.
Definitely, but it's out. It's been out for some time already. You can check it out, and of course, connect to us on Slack. Join our community Slack, and happy to take Q&A there. And if you have any questions on how to model this, that, or the other, we're happy to join in on the conversation there.
Awesome. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you everyone for watching and joining us. Like Mr. Bort said, if you have like any questions on that or pretty much anything that you want to model, feel free to reach out in the community. One of the guys from the team will certainly jump on that question. So thank you very much. Have a great day, and thanks for joining. Bye-bye. All right.